Spock is human. Nurse Chapel talks to invisible interdimensional beings. Spock holds a really hot plate and screams and laughs. This was an episode full of crazy moments. Pop Tot, what did you think of the latest new episode of Strange New Worlds, Charades?
Well, and we've said this term-ish before, is this is very Trek. You know, this is a Trek episode. This is along the lines of Picard, Ro, and Guinan being little kids. Or,
what a fun Rascals. What a fun episode.
I'd rather not have to take that step.
I am still Jean-Luc Picard.
Neelix and Tuvok formed into one thing. You know, It was kind of cool, and seeing the actor kind of get to play a more human side of him.
So I got so thirsty.
His mom is played by a very familiar actress, but I couldn't put my finger on it. I didn't bother to look it up. But
I think this episode's kind of funny to me because it's one of those episodes that's like, hey, we need to let so-and-so show their ability to act.
What part of that do you not understand, Mother?
And I know that's not what it is, but that's like, hey, Spock is kind of, he's could be a little flat. So let's show him some, interesting emotions. And I liked, like you said, it felt very much like Rascals or the Tuvix episode. Both fun and kind of interesting to see the human Vulcan dilemma that Spock always has.
Do you have a message for your mother?
Yes. Tell her I feel fine.
I enjoyed the montages of watching him cook and the enjoyment that came from that.
The bacon, like him enjoying bacon.
Yeah. Right. And then, the bacon, and then when he was laughing at the stories.
I also enjoyed, there's another kind of connection to Jadzia, when Jadzia had to meet the future mother-in-law.
You put on weight, and your hair is going gray.
And go through all these like hoops, and it was very much almost the same way, because here Spock's have to do this, and he has to be very Vulcan, and of course he's stripped of all of his Vulcanhood,
and hilarity ensues.
And like you said, he has to lift that hot pan and with his hands, and then
it was funny
tries to hold his hand.
Because I think Jadzia did something with like heavy pans or hot pans or something to try to impress her bitch of a mother-in-law, which I guess in the future mother-in-laws are still an issue, which is kind of funny to me. But I definitely enjoyed that. I think the part I didn't enjoy with this is the ending. I think it somehow sabotaged the message that was coming across. And it completely wiped out the entire episode. Her and Spock basically call it off, and then he has a makeout session with Nurse Chapel, which is fine, but it kind of eliminated all those hoops that they had to jump through, and him proving how Vulcan he was, and it just kind of, okay, well, we're going to go on a hiatus anyways. And then I was like, oh, this entire episode was just a vehicle to make Spock single again. So they can kind of cruise down this. Is there something between him and Nurse Chapel? Yeah, because I really liked that it was Nurse Chapel going on a limb with these interdimensional beings, and basically how she loves Spock, but there was this kind of forbidden love.
But it's not him. At least it's not all of him.
And I really appreciate it. I thought there was a message of self-sacrifice, not only doing what was right because you love somebody, but because that person is that person. And that becomes that whole argument, like you said, with Tuvix. And so she wanted Spock to come back and be, who he was. And I think in a way they almost showed that Spock was kind of almost hurting a little bit.
Don't test me, Kirk. I will break you.
And so she made that decision and got him back. And, right before he goes and says something, she injects him with Vulcan stem cells, I don't know, and he becomes Vulcan man again.
She got from an alien, interdimensional alien entity that probably has a side scratch as a Dell customer service agent, because let's be honest, that's why she's like, no, you don't need to call us again. And it was kind of funny just the way it kept repeating it.
You called me?
Right, yeah, sorry.
It's reminiscent of, have you unplugged it and waited 5 seconds, plugged it back in?
No further contact is necessary. Thanks are not required. No further contact is necessary.
That was kind of definitely what it felt like. Like, there was just a horrible customer service. But she did that. She made that decision, and I'm like, you know what? I really respect Nurse Chapel for doing that. I know it was painful, but the journey goes on. They have a mission to accomplish and all that. And then by the end, it was completely undone, and it just didn't really sit right with me. And, me being the cynical Tot asshole I am, I immediately turned to Miss Tot, and I was like, what? And she's like, that didn't make any sense. Why'd they do that? And I'm like, don't do it. I'm a virgin. Okay. Well, it wasn't just me then. It felt really unnecessary. And it's like, I appreciate two good-looking people finagling in space. That's cool. Good for you guys. But I don't know. I feel like there was a good message there, and it got really muddled by the end.
And I miss him as he was.
Ever since probably around the Deep Space Nine era, it all became very much all connected to the Dominion War, and it was always, there was every once in a while there was kind of a Trek standalone episode.
Yeah.
But I love these episodes because that's what draws you to it, is the strange new worlds, the new things that they're going out there and seeing, and not just having one common enemy. And I love that they're vetting out all the side characters. They're really like, this started out with Nurse Chapel talking, and the last one was with Ortega's talking.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy that they're doing that. And God love Anson. He does a great job as Captain Pike. He's so damn charming. Like, every time he's in the episode, like him cooking, it was just like,
yeah.
And that freaking hair, oh my God,
it's glorious. I think this is a really bad comparison, but I think what Anson Mount does on the show, and this is no way trying to dismiss either cast and reduce anybody's quality of acting, but when Anson Mount feels like what he's doing with Pike in terms of leading the show feels very similar to what Stephen Amell did as Oliver Queen in Green Arrow.
Laurel can take care of herself. You see what she does out there.
That's what I thought about Sarah, too.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop hiding behind your daughters!
Poppy? It should have been me.
It's like, you cannot take your eyes off of him. He's so charismatic, the gravitas, the pull that he has, and the way that he's able to wield dialogue in really convincing and entertaining ways. I really adore him, and I really appreciate Ethan Peck too, which Miss Todd absolutely adores, because he's tall, dark, and handsome. And the guy apparently always hits chest day, apparently, because his chest is always like a peak pump.
It's as satisfying to me as coming is, as having sex with a woman and coming.
But yeah, he's wonderful. And I mentioned this in my season review, I think they go to the love lost emotion a little too much this season. I think they've literally done it 3 times. They use it a little too much, and they kind of did it with Spock here, where his love lost, and we did it with Pike and his colleague. We've done it now with Spock and Chapel and T'Pring. We did it with Kirk and Lon, and so it's like this is 5 episodes. We've done the same story like 4 times. It's not a big deal. I just feel like there's a lot more to Star Trek than going down the same line of a love episode. And like, I'm trying to sit there and think about, Voyager, TNG, Deep Space Nine, the original series, Enterprise. Did they go through that much? No. I don't remember, but it's a nitpick.
But I think ever since the Kelvin universe, with putting Spock with Uhura, they're like, oh, we can use Spock as a romantic lead.
Yeah, it's almost like they went on Twitter and like, wait a minute. People thought Leonard Nimoy was hot. Okay, well, people like Spock because he's kind of interesting. What if he just bangs people? Like, he's got this sexual magnetism. And then, all right, Ethan Peck, I want you to just hit chest. every day of the week, everybody's going to love you. And I mean, it works. It's just like, okay, we've used this again. And, again, it's not a big deal. It's super nitpicky. I'm sure most people won't give a shit, or maybe they do. I don't know.
I'm so damn confused.
The one thing I always enjoy is the set design of the Enterprise.
Yeah.
You kind of almost have to watch it twice because you're paying attention to the characters, you're trying to eat up the dialogue, but the set design is just wonderful. I just every cabin, of course, everybody has like these massive cabins, but I really want to kind of shout out to the production designers and the use of lighting and whatnot. They just do a really bang up job, and I was really thrilled with the entire season so far when it comes to set design.
Yeah, it always smells like money. Like, it's like, wow, that must have cost so much money to do. And I think every set in its own way almost reminds me a bit of the Promenade. Like the Promenade from Deep Space Nine is probably the most impressive set Star Trek's ever done. Like, it's incredible. It's so alive, and there's so much details and intricacies. I think Strange New Worlds Enterprise, same thing. It's just every set has so many intricacies. The hallways are so interesting, and they're bright. You can see, I had to make that dig. I apologize. Overall, what would you rate Strange New Worlds, the Charades?
Well, no shock to everybody listening, I'm going to give it a B. I'd probably give it a B plus or an A minus, but the ending with the T'Pring thing, just them deciding to end it after all the hoops that we've jumped through as viewers, that just kind of set me back a little bit. I was like, but no, I enjoyed the episode overall. So I'd give it a B.
Yeah, I think I'm a B. It's very similar. I think the episode was an interesting way to show Spock's always dealing with his other side of who he is and trying to discover who he is, which is an interesting thing about Spock. And then seeing his mother, which was really cool. And
it is not easy being a human who loves a Vulcan.
Overall, I think the ending was sabotaging the message that we were supposed to be getting, or at least I thought I was getting. And I think it would have been better had the end come and maybe to have Spock look out the window in space and maybe like his eyes were getting a little red, and that was it. And maybe that he was kind of emotional too because he did care for Nurse Chapel, and it just felt like somebody was big horny and just was like, hey, there's two really good looking people, which I always edit out, and this time I'm not going to edit out, but Nurse Chapel, obviously very pretty, and Ethan Peck, obviously very handsome. So kudos to you guys for being good looking people.
You guys suck!
Thank you guys as usual for watching and supporting. Make sure to leave your comments. I love going through and reading them and responding to you guys, and the support just means the world to us. And we'll see you guys on the next one.